And we talk about pleasure as protest, and for me, I notice the focus is a lot immediately on not necessarily pleasure, but like getting into a state of mind and a state of body and a state of nervous system to even have the possibility to feel embodied pleasure. But there could also be any other emotions there. So really getting into a state of feeling alive and in the moment. And whatever I'm doing in one-on-one sessions or workshops or group programs, this is like the core of it. So I'm very excited to also hear like different perspectives and different ways of talking about it. And it's so I'm gonna make the parallel with sex. For me, it doesn't work to focus on a goal. My body just blocks. And good sex for me is we're already good now. Like we're having fun just like this. Mm-hmm. We're right here and it's like, and then something maybe emerges from there. My best play parties are I already feel good. I'm in contact with myself. And anything that emerges is bonus. And so for me this is about a way of living, like prioritizing being in that state of mind and state of body that allows me to feel, just feel and be free. That's why I'm here. And any challenge in my life, like having a company, or I'm thinking of my horse that I had for 8-9 years. If I wouldn't be able to come back every day and every moment to how is this actually for me to experience this right here, right now, and slow down, I would be hugely disappointed with the goals that I already reached in any of these areas. So, yeah, slowing down feels radical. And also like there's no other option for me. So I would love to hear, why are you here, Lee?
You said it all.
Stole your words.
Yeah, no, but I'll start with what I resonate and then I'll add. When, like the year that I started working with pleasure, it was the year that I understood that it is an experience that comes from my own self. And it's not thanks to all the people or the lovers or everything around me, but it's something that I can put myself in, knowing how I function. And it was in a women's workshop where we, the Jenny Rebinder actually, a great Tantra teacher, where we did a meditation into our own womb space. And where we got to imagine our own pleasurable space, and we were not allowed to invite people in there, or specific people that we know, or specific, like removing attachments. And suddenly within this meditation, I remembered orgasms I had, I remembered beautiful moments I had in different places. And then in the sharing afterwards, suddenly I just burst into tears, realizing, oh my God, like this lives in me. While there was a part of me that was like, oh, I'll never feel that again because that lover was so amazing, and that festival over there, like putting it all outside of me. And this really just shifted my inner confidence, my neediness in terms of relationships, in terms of sex, in terms of wanting to be seen. So many things shifted into like, I own myself because I own one of the things that is the most grounding or desirable for myself. I don't need it from somebody else, so it's thanks to myself. And I didn't only apply this onto sexual intimacy, actually where I practiced it the most was through dance. Because when you dance, it's not like you cannot give it away to somebody else. Like, I was the one who danced. Of course, I can say like the music was amazing and the environment, but it comes down to understanding that I am creating this great experience within me because I'm the one dancing. And I started to have what I call dance highs. It's like sober, psychedelic, like dance experiences. And just, realizing how much I could access within. And that was the baseline of my teaching for a very long time. However, when I received the invitation of pleasure as protest, what came more alive with me right now, because there was a period that I needed these highs, the dance highs, and the like, whoa, I can experience this, and I'm sober, this is amazing, I need to show the whole world. And now I don't have the same necessity for these ecstatic, pleasurable experiences. Now, as you said, like the only way is to slow down. I realize I can sit here and like breathe and like life is good. And then if I dance, I dance. But like the chasing is gone in that sense. Not always gone, but most of the times. And pleasure as protest for me then, in terms of society at the moment, is that can I allow myself to be happy, to feel pleasure, to be relaxed, even though there's so many difficult things happening? When there are political issues, when there's wars, when there are children dying, when my sister or brother is sick, or I would say especially in our part of the world, it's like I cannot be happy if other people are not. Where I can only feel one thing at the same time. And my experience, I talk a lot about my colleagues and friends from Mozambique when I lived there, that like it didn't matter how difficult things they were going through, they could always shift into joy. So for now I would say pleasure as protest for me, why I'm sitting here, is this like radical belief that I can always get back to feeling good, feeling peaceful, even if somebody really close to me is really sick or something terrible is happening. I don't have to lose my inner spirit because of that. I can always find that back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, your aliveness. The spirit is like...
Yeah, the aliveness, my core, the inner self that knows that everything is as it should be. Like, I cannot get pulled down with what I cannot affect to that degree. I have to keep on living, enjoy life.
This is where it becomes spiritual for me.
Yeah, it becomes Buddhistic in a way,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Do you want to share why you're here?
First of all, I'm here because of you. And I'm here because you have invited me, and I love my friends, colleagues, and I haven't met Reid, and now it's an honor to sit with you on the podium. And I like this idea, so 4 people, 9 observers. I've been in kind of trainings and workshops and festivals and stuff like that, and sometimes there's so little show up that we have a big group of facilitator and assistants, and then we have for every participant 1 facilitator and an assistant. And pleasure as a protest, I was just asking myself, I could not combine them. Pleasure as protest. That's like, what does it mean? What's the context? Kind of just cracked in my mind a little bit. And the way how I would say that is because there is just a little show. I'm really grateful that you are here, that you just join us. But there are so many people out there who are not here, who actually need that. And, coming here and then being asked, bringing my gear and stuff like that, is how can I use pleasure as a protest from my own purpose and perception, how to bring that into the world to other people. Because this is what's needed, because most people are so remoted and automized in their life that they actually have no idea how to access pleasure and what pleasure can do to the body and how do they engage with other people and what actually pleasure is, and what are the neurological pleasure pathways, and how they're emotionally, mentally, and energetically anchored in the body. So I'm here to use this forum with this amazing people and with you as observers to have this microphone and the camera and use that and just like shoot it out in the world and hope this little nugget will land somewhere in the world as a protest that people wake just a little bit more up into what's possible. So that's why I'm here.
Amen. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, why are you here?
So when you came up with the title for the talk, so being from the US, I have a lot of friends in the sex ed world who are activists. So protest has a very specific meaning to me because of my activist friends, and also like what's going on in America right now and similar things all over the world. Like, how do you protest to try to make change? So that's what I thought it was. But then when I was reading the description, and also after talking to you, it's like the idea of just protesting the speed of culture and slowing down and getting into your body as an act of, you know, telling culture like, no, like I don't want to be a part of the rat race. And as somebody who lived in New York City for 22 years, that you get up and you have to hustle if you want to pay your rent, and owning our own businesses and the hustle of trying to make that work. And just the hustle, which also for me as a sex educator kind of gets mapped onto people's sex lives, in that so many of us go to porn to look for examples of how to be better lovers. And what you never see in porn is the pizza delivery guy shows up and then they're like, let's take a breath.
Boring.
Yeah, like it just, but that's, you know, like just cuddling for 20 minutes or making out slowly, like that's like a lost art form if people even knew it existed. And so like the slowing down and what happens when we slow down with ourselves and with each other, especially around sex and pleasure, you know, aside from like just like eating your food more slowly and just really like tasting it, like that fast pace has kind of seeped in everywhere. And I will cop on myself in that as somebody who doesn't appear to be insecure, but is actually quite insecure. When I slow down, my thoughts get louder, and learning how to like be with that and understand that sometimes I go really fast in certain ways because I'm trying to not hear my own self-talk sometimes. So there's a lot, the topic ended up becoming a lot more deep for me, and we're reflecting on it. So good job. But yeah, so that's why I'm here to like just share about those pieces and how they affect me, and how I see as somebody who teaches in lots of different parts of the world, like how that pace and speed is affecting other people too, because it's not just here, and it's not just in America. I think it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
How about you? You want to share more?
You know, actually, I already shared a little bit, but like, what comes up for me is like right here, right now. I was nervous. I feel especially nervous sitting with you here. And it's the first time I'm facilitating a panel. And it's so easy for me to speed up, and then I'm also saying things, you know, I'm getting in my head. By now I'm already a lot slower inside. But what is happening now is like sometimes I really need time to find my words. And I have that in, you know, when I'm teaching or when I'm talking on a podcast, I can just edit it out, right? But like anywhere else is, oh, I should, you know, just the words should come, and everything is, you know, reels has to be 1 minute max and everything has to be in there and social media, and I get so tired by that and fed up by that. And so I'm really enjoying right now practicing and having a hand on my back and being like, can we just, take a moment
Yeah.
to find words also? And then, I'm talking to myself. But I want to slow down here with you as well. That's me.
I hope to slowing down.
Yeah. And there's a lot that I already want to dive in around, having so much input from all over the world and the impact of that and different things you've been naming. But let's wait just a tiny bit to go there and first give you a moment as well. So I want to suggest that in a moment you find 1 or 2 other people to turn toward. And those of you who want to share, you don't have to. You can also just listen to the other people. But you can reflect on, why are you here? Why does this topic matter to you? And in your wildest dream, is there something you're taking with you later when you're stepping out of the door again?
Men det kan jag säga, det är lite spännande.
Ja.
Den här, för just den här energin som uppstår.
So we would love to hear some of you, if you want to share, why are you here? Do you have questions? Topics you want to have covered in this talk?
So, hi, my name is Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Both as a volunteer and a participant. And one thing I would really love to hear in the panel discussion is this balance between doing something that you love and being very engaged in something that you love, but then also taking the time to slow down and realizing that sometimes that it's difficult to reconcile a very active lifestyle with always slowing down. We can't always be. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you disagree, but I find that when I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and engaged in, that it's very easy to get energy from that, and then to understand what the balance is between knowing when to slow down and when to be engaged and speed up. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. And we can do this thing that Reid loves to do, and now I love to do it too. It's when they're saying, "Hi, I'm Jen," we can all say, "Hi, Jen." So we can try that again.
Hi, I'm Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Are we going
Lovely.
to remember all the question and then take all of them?
I think I think what resonates will grab. Yeah, I don't think it's about trying to answer everything.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I can share.
Hmm?
So, I'm Frederick, by the way.
Hi, Frederick.
I was realizing something when you shared, and so for me, I've been on a journey to kind of resolve all the unpleasurable feelings inside my body, like in my energy system. And I was just thinking or reflecting about the more unpleasurable feelings or sensations that is within, the more the tendency is to kind of collect pleasure from outside to compensate for what is unpleasurable inside.
Yeah.
And through the years now, I've been arming myself and discharging all the stuck energy inside. My energy system is getting a lot more open, and with that comes pleasure.
Yes.
I was reflecting that when I think about my old self, there was if I take that in comparison to now, it's a lot nicer to be inside me now, just because there is less unpleasurable feelings, and so just by being open or opening up, more pleasure enters the system, and it doesn't have to be from the outside. At some point that I've passed, there's like a point of no return. Like you understand this, and then you kind of have to continue.
Thank you for sharing. That's a celebration. I'm celebrating you.
I'm also celebrating it.
Yeah.
That's the journey we are on.
I just want to say the way you phrased it, like you go outward to get the pleasure rather than kind of having it come through you. That the way you said that, I was like, oh, that was well said.
But it's so true.
Yeah, and then shifting it from it rising from the inside.
Yeah.
Changing that pattern of the compensation from the outside to letting it arise. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
I can share. In my family, where I'm coming from, there has been only one taboo: is pleasure, of course. Because we're supposed to be like very like competitive, supposed to be very successful, supposed to get education, and like do I need to continue? Since I came into tantra and like starting to learn about my body and like what's happening to my body when I'm coming too closer to other people. Oh, coming too close to other people. Why do they do that? So I start realizing that my body is like just shrinking. My body is so scared. My body is so scared of intimacy. My body is so scared of pleasure. My body is so scared of closeness that like every time I'm like even like any like small like signals of pleasure like arising, then the body shrinks. And then I just dissociate. Then I just like jump on the wall and just my body's doing a bunch of things because I'm not allowed to be there. I cannot enjoy. And now I'm slowly allowing to be in my body while enjoying the pleasure and not dissociating. It's a freaking work because it's like 30 years I've been like dissociating and feeling this like small signals. It's okay, now I'm freezing, now I'm scared. Okay, taking a distance. Cannot have any intimate relationship right now because like I don't want to go into old patterns. So I'm like emotional virgin. I'm here to reprogram my brain, and through my brain send the signals to my body that it's okay to feel pleasure, and it's okay that it's this the history and the pattern has been like that. But slowly, very carefully reprogramming.
Celebrating it.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your name, by the way?
Anya, sorry.
Hi,
Hi, Anya.
I'm Irina.
Hi,
Irina.
I was not thinking to talk. Actually, I didn't think that I would say anything. But now, after Anya's speech, I just really need that. I feel that I want to share as well, since we have the same. I mean, we come from the same country, and yes, pleasure is taboo. And when I just heard you say that, and then I felt that when it is a taboo, then it's a perfect way of controlling people. When you prohibit it, and I mean, in many religions, it's still the way, because you like just cut away this part of life, and this is actually a very big part of life, but you tell people that it's nothing important, actually dangerous.
It's from the devil.
Yes, so that people focus their energy on other people, other things they are more like suitable for, I don't know, for state, for God, for whatever, but not for you as a person, or maybe your like spiritual development, or for someone else, but not for yourself. That's why pleasure and the protest is very important, because allowing pleasure is like like process of becoming more free and less controlled by someone else. And you also described it in the beginning that especially when you also realize that it's something you built up within yourself and don't need like to seek from outside world all the time, then it's really you are in control of your life and your state of mind and your decisions in other way than when this part is completely prohibited.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, there are things coming back, right? Like pleasure seeking outside is actually can be numbing and taking us away elsewhere. Pleasure from inside, is bringing so much healing also. Are there more celebrations or questions or people who want to share why they're here?
I'm El, by the way.
Hi, El.
I didn't understand the topic, but I thought with you guys it's fine. I still don't understand it. It's going to be fine. But Lee and I talked, or I shared before the topic we started here. I have a couple of years with my wife moved from Stockholm to countryside to slow down, work less, do more fun in my work life, and so on. Just to be more present. But my inside hasn't slowed down until a couple of weeks ago, when I started to get my brain to slow down. I've got some sort of
ADHD.
Thank you. But my brain has always been going at 80-90%. But now I can go down and notice the world around me in a different way. It's kind of pretty. Not always having a erected brain. It's all Lee's fault, by the way. Good job. So slowing down is for me since 2 weeks. So it is not only about slowing down your outside or your relationship with the world, but your inside also. So that's my journey now for next couple of years to slow down my inside.
Thank you. Yeah. So throughout this talk, you can continue just, jumping in, interrupting, letting us know, if there's something coming up. Just please be part of this talk. Yeah. Reid always says it's a great thing to practice to interrupt, because we also want to, feel the courage to interrupt during sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He sounds very wise.
Exactly.
To interact is all to interact.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can I share the reason I when I'm teaching, and like what in the workshops we'll do this weekend too, like I'll mention, like for me and how I teach, like I want that engagement. I want people to interrupt and ask questions, because it doesn't throw me off. And what I want to send people home with is having already practiced interrupting in the middle of things, because during sex, that's a really good skill to have, to make adjustments or ask for things or be like, ow, like we need more pillows or something. And I think in classroom settings and in workshops, often we're taught to be such good students and wait until we're told it's time to ask questions. And I think that as a sex educator, one of the things I can try to do is encourage people, to speak up, because we need to find our voices during sex and, and then the rest of life too. So that's why I say that.
I would like to jump into something. It sounded like that there was kind of one repetitive things that I picked up, and that's something that one of my teacher mentor, Brad Blancke, taught me, and that's this distinction between your inside world, so everything that is inside your body, and you can tune into that right now. So what are you aware of? Sitting, leaning, your feet, your feelings, everything that's inside of your body, and then everything that is not inside of your body is outside. The people around you, the air, everybody else here, and everything that is not inside and that is not outside is upside down. So upside down is everything that is happening in your head. So that means everything that is not inside your body, everything that's not outside of your body is upside down. That's your head, and that's 95%. So the idea is to go from the upside down into the body. And doing that is the only way is slowing down. Yeah. And there are some reasons, I guess we can just like tap into that. So my intention would be, if you can take that with you, how can you go from your upside down, from this speed racing machine above your neck, into your inside world, into your body that is below your neck, and make that a lifestyle.
When you said the upside down, I was thinking Stranger Things. For those of you who are Stranger Things fans, and that whole thing, which I think actually applies in a good way, because that's where all the evil stuff is. Yeah. Here you go. I don't know if that helps.
Well, what also came up for me, and when we slow down, I kind of already said it in the beginning, but like the uncomfortable or negative feelings, they are also coming up for me. We talked about it also. Self-pleasuring has been a tool for me to slow down and connect with my body and kind of come back to what I'm actually feeling. But often there's a cry first for me, or actually I was angry. That's why I was a bit numb. I didn't want to feel that. And then there's also a level where I can start to feel the pleasure in all these emotions that are labeled as negative. Like, I can feel an anger as in like, wow, okay, there's energy here to do something or to change something. Sadness can feel, it's like a sensation in my body, as if there's something cleansing. So I just wanted to acknowledge that this slowing down for me doesn't bring only pleasure. Unless, you can find the pleasure in whatever is alive and coming up as well.
I want to add to, like both of you said, getting out of the upside down world. To do that, you kind of have to be fine with unpleasurable.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you are in your head because it's unpleasurable as have to be inside. And if you're not fine with that, you can kind of continue to force yourself to be kind of conscious, but you really have to start feeling the unpleasurable feelings to be able to stay inside and also find what is pleasurable behind that.
Yeah, I'll just repeat so we get it. So one of the participants here just shared how it's also about coming back to the body and feeling the discomfort, that is such an important part of being in the body, and that the more we can be with the discomfort, the more pleasure comes. Yeah, the more we get used to being it. Yeah.
pleasurable sometimes.
Yeah, accepting that it's unpleasurable sometimes, that it's not like always going to be pleasurable. And what I wanted to bring up, it's also this question we had before: when is it time to speed up, and when is it time to slow down? It sounds like here we're sitting here, and it's like kind of like, oh, we're going to be slow and feel all the time, and that's not what life looks like. And for me, the huge shift has happened recognizing when my speeding up is a sense of running for, or running away from, or running after, or when it's coming from like core energy of wanting to do things. And we can feel this somatically, but it's a practice because we're so used to going into the doing. And as somebody shared here, sometimes I just feel like super excited and super focused, and I just go into this mode. And we don't notice the early signs that parts of the body is actually starting to get tired. We don't notice that parts of us would actually like to rest or to eat, because we get caught up in the excitement, and then we're moving away from using it in joy, then we're starting to run on the after energy, or like completing something. And often this is connected to what you were sharing about when we slow down, we need to feel the discomfort, because it feels nicer to stay in the mode than to slow down and feel maybe I'm not completed with my task yet, or I've been running away from other feelings that I had earlier. They're going to catch up. So for me, the radical shift hasn't been to slow down when I'm stressed. It is to slow down when I'm having fun. That is the radical shift. And noticing because it's easier to cross my boundaries actually when I'm having fun, because I'm not noticing and I want to, suck the most out of it. And that's also when we dissociate in sex, because we don't notice we're getting there, or we're at the party and we're dancing and suddenly we're not having fun anymore, and then we wake up the next day and, so the shift I say now, like before I would take a coffee to, push through, and now I take a nap or a chamomile tea. And then you learn the natural cycles of the nervous system. So then through relaxing, I get natural energy of wanting to do things. So I'm sitting here and I'm more than 8 months pregnant. So baby's coming like any time soon. It's really, you can say hello. Hello. This is Lilla Livet. And Laura was asking me like, oh, but it seems like you're still so busy and you're posting and you're doing all these things. But all the times I'm not doing things, I'm really resting. And I have learned to disconnect the brain and to really be and to take care of myself. And then I get some energy. It's like, oh yeah, now I'm going to go to this panel. And I get on my bike and I'm going to be with some good friends. And I'm relaxing while I'm doing it. Oh yeah, I need to keep it here. And the huge difference will be for the baby, because there's a difference. If I'm excited and doing something, the baby will feel excited. But if I'm pushing through, without noticing, I'm passing on stress to the child. So I have like a super efficient teacher on this journey with me now.
And it helps to do it for someone else in a very direct way. And we're always doing it for other people too around us, but I'm imagining it's like an extra accountability system. Yeah.
It is, but also I have come to treat my body as a child already before. A lot of us, we fight against the tiredness, we fight against the pain. But if you have a child who's in pain or is tired or is screaming, you don't fight against. You know, if you're a parent, that's not going to work. And your body's reacting the same way. So yes, it's for the child, but as soon as I feel pain nowadays, it's like, oh, hello, buddy, there's some pain here. It's because you have something to say. It's something you need. So it's really also shifting that relationship, into being good, into just like having relationship with myself, my body, with how I'm actually feeling. Yeah.
And talking about children, I would like you to just for a second, just make connection with your hands, right? And some of you know that. And when you just actually make connection with them and touch something, and you just slow down your speed of movement by half, and slow down your movement by half again, you notice that there is a kind of tinglish electromagnetic kind of pleasant sensation. Yeah. And just bring all your awareness, all your attention, just for this short moment of time, to the sensation in your hands. And you might recognize that this always has been there. And it always will be there, because it is present moment awareness in your skin. And it is your access to the inside world. And when you continue doing that and opening up your eyes, can you still stay in connection with your inside world while your attention through your eyes goes outwards? Can you connect both at the same time? And what will happen when you do that? So, as a little child, we take everything in our hand and explore that. Put that in our mouth, making sure that we're just creating this 3D reality of the outside world in our inside world. And then somehow one of these big people comes along called adults and say, this is wrong, this is bad, don't do that. Shame us, guilt trip us, putting some stuff on us. So the question is, who of you has a child who recognizes that little children do that naturally? Yeah. And who of you was a child? Yeah. So we have all that insight, and the more we slow down, to come back what you said, Frederick, the more we slow down and start with pleasure to come to the inside world and start feeling again, then some of us think just like, oh, that's great. Now I can have all the pleasure in the world that I want. And then all of a sudden your feeling center is getting activated. And when that starts to kick in, and pleasure is kind of rewiring neurological pathways in your nervous system, and your body starts to come back online, your inside world starts to show up, all of a sudden you recognize, shit, now I'm in trouble, and now I have to really face everything. So pleasure gets most people through the door, yeah. But feeling or start feeling pleasure means on one point you will start feeling not only pleasure, you will start feeling everything. And then that's the question, how much can you face yourself?
And that's where most people stop their tantric journey.
I realized for me the slowing down started mostly when I started my company. I hadn't thought about this before, but I'm a bit of a menstrual cycle nerd. And that started like 9 years ago when I got self-employed. And I had seen my parents having their own company in a way that I knew from when I was little, I don't want to work like that. I don't want to do it like that. And somehow it happened so easily that we're like, I don't want to do what my parents did. And then you just slide right into it. So that was the first months for me. I had this like every day, and I was like counting hours of like, what is productivity for me? It's like the amount of hours that I worked. And it was really through, okay, but actually every day expecting the same for me, something was just not sitting right in my body. So I got interested in the menstrual cycle, and a course and a book and journaling every day, and mucus and temperature and moods. And there I learned also about this 1% rule. So the recommendation is to follow, if you want to rest more when you're menstruating, to follow that. And it's so easy to think like, yeah, but there's no way. Also parents, moms, like I don't know how to, like, there's no space for me to lie on the sofa now. And there the 1% rule said, yeah, but there's always 1%, like you said. There's always 1% somewhere. What's your 1%? And if every cycle I find another 1%, like, I don't know how many cycles there have passed now, but I'm not on 1% anymore. It's like every time finding the small ways of slowing down even more. And it's not only sitting in the sofa, it's also
Peeing, cooking,
taking a breath before I start eating.
walking, driving.
Yeah.
Like our inner engine is on all the time.
And for me, it got so clear that when I allowed that slowing down, my productivity and efficiency and joy in working also was it's not comparable. So that's where my slowing down journey started.
I wanted to say something. That's really interesting. This is because you're pregnant, you have this full capacity from this processor to this processor, and you talk about the moon cycles. So I've been studying in the last few years the nervous system based on Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory. It's just fascinating. If you don't know how it works, just get your nose into that. Because it's kind of very obvious and clear that in a woman's body that the so-called vagus nerve, everything that we have on social engagement, the way how we relate with the world, is in the woman's body connected to the uterus and to the sexual organs. Yeah, but we guys, we don't have that. Sorry, we are a little bit under developed. I don't know if we can say it that way, but there's a dual processor in a woman's body staying constantly connected with the inside world and with the body and the outside world. And this, because you just mentioned that before about pornography, because pornography is one of the biggest growing, fastest developing industries in the world, still is. Pornography is that stuff that has brought the internet up, and this is where guys go to satisfy themselves, because our neurological pleasure pathway, they are different. Yeah, and the thing is that how do we relate with the world if there is no pornography? And how does man engage with the world if there is no outside stimuli that turns us on? How do we connect with our inside world that is independent from the outside world? This is the hardest thing in the world for the guys. So I just want to put that out.
I'm curious, how does he connect it to polyvagal theory?
Because the polyvagal theory is that part that Stephen Porges, actually this very part from his wife, Sue Carter. And the structure about that is that the connection of the inside world to the uterus as sexual organ is, when it comes to pleasure and to connection, to intimacy, to proximity, sensuality, is related to safety. And safety and the uterus function, they're just going hand in hand. And that safety connection, we don't have that through our genitals into our social engagement system. And in the woman's body, it's a constant dual, information exchange, that sensuality and sexuality only functions when there's safety, and that's received through or perceived through kind of proximity in the present moment.
I think we have our next topic for a panel. I have so many things I want to say about this, but that's not why we're here. and I want links because I want to read up on the things you're pointing at before I share my opinions about things. And I would say, real quick, the world is a lot less safe for uterus owners and marginalized people, and there might be some sort of correlation where, because most, air quotes, men aren't needing to navigate the world as unsafe in a certain cultural context, so that we don't tune in to our bodies in the same way, because the world is so much different, our experience. That's my quick on it, but I want to read more about this, because yeah.
We're all getting into our nerdy
Yes.
aspects.
Welcome to Nerd Fight.
Nerd fight. Personally, I don't feel less safe in a female body, but I'm not gonna go into that.
Cool.
But I feel actually more safe in a female body. But living in Sweden in these circumstances, in this privileged part of the world at the moment, I feel extremely safe, because I can be a man, I can be a woman, I can have, I can touch people by mistake without being accused for it, and there's a whole bunch. So that's one topic, and then I'll have the nerdery on this side. So since you brought your nerdery part, I'm also a nervous system nerd, and my nerdery at the moment is a lot about attachment trauma and early activation in the body. And most people, independently of gender, who have difficulty in being connection with their inner world, is because of early stress. And this is when there's no difference between gender. And this activation is often the motor that lies there when we grow up and we want to do the inner journey. When we have a female body, the menstrual cycle and what you're sharing, it helps us to be forced to be in the body. While men don't really have to, and then they have lots of testosterone coming on in the teenage years that also brings them away from their emotions. But I would still say that the sensitivity of the child is equal, and that is the essence of our capacity to be profoundly curious, both outside and inside. And independently of gender, when we do that work of regulating and coming really down to that inner peace place, I would say the difference between the genders disappear more and more when we come into our core selves. So that is my nerdery opinion or exploration.
Thank you for bringing the nerdery in. Do you have anything you want to share?
I'm not such a nerd.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
No, not now.
But we do have our third panel topic. We got it.
What's the title?
Oh, I don't know. Polyvagal something. Polyvagal is protest.
I would like us to take a few breaths together. I feel like the nerdery brings in a little bit of tension sometimes. Again, it's noticing, is the excitement only soft and pleasurable, or is it moving into some kind of other state?
I want to do a time check before you, because we started a little later. Is there someone who does not feel okay with us ending 10-15 minutes later, including you? Checking.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. But then we have some wiggle room.
So through all of this conversation, when we're also talking about like your ability to feel pleasure, also kind of means you're building the muscles to feel negative emotions too. it was just coming in my head about like it's pleasure, but it's more just about aliveness as a concept of like, it means you can kind of feel whatever you're feeling, and the ability to be able to feel and be present to those things is a certain kind of aliveness that has its own kind of quality of pleasure. Like to be alive even when things suck, and to be able to be in it and have like even just the edges of the gratitude of like for me, you know, my mom and dad did the best they could with all the skills they had to be great parents, and their marriage suffered because they didn't have good communication tools, and then that spilled into their parenting. But even with all of that harm that came, there was a sense of aliveness, like they were really trying to be great parents and kind of passed on that secure attachment for all of us. And then for me, like working through my old family stuff, even when it was at its worst, I was so grateful to be working on that stuff because that was the stuff my mom and dad never got a chance to get to. Like their challenges, they never got to work on with the tools that I got to get, and partially because of them, because I wanted to work through it. But even when I was suffering the most, working on digging up all this old stuff, there was so much gratitude in that, which was a kind of pleasure, even when I was crying and, you know, in a empty bathtub
because
in
it's
a fetal position. Yeah.
To have space and time and energy or money to do that work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted like that aliveness piece for me is what I wanted to drop in.
Mm-hmm. And I want to drop in, like, this reminds me of my relationship to my coming birth. And it's my first child, and obviously I cannot, I don't know how it's going to be. But I just have this innate excitement of all that it will come with. And I think birth is maybe the most fascinating thing in terms of joy and pain happening at the same time. And I now feel so grateful for all kind of inner journeys that I have made, in whether it's meeting trauma, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, medicine journeys, all the things that have, you know, invited me to explore discomfort, because I do believe that I will be able to focus on what an amazing journey this will be, more than focusing on fear and pain. Because it's my body. It's going to do something that it's made to do. And if I can let it do what it's going to do and feel the discomfort, but without fighting against the discomfort, what if that can be a blissful experience? Just like you're crying out your childhood traumas, but there is a gratitude in it. And I will have to come back to you and tell you about my birth later. But the closer I'm coming, the more is actually my fears letting go. It's like I'm in this visualizing, in this living of this is the nature of being human, is to experience all of it. And that will be like a peak of that experience.
Just feel sad that my friend and colleague Sanna is not here. So Susanna, so we are friends since, I don't know, 15 years or so. And we have a similar hobby or sport, and that's just like feeling shit. And meaning that when we actually feel that we sometimes reach out to each other and say, oh my God, I just feel this shame or guilt or something has happened. I feel fear or I feel awkward. And then, can you tell me that this is okay to feel awkward? Or can you tell me that this is okay to feel such and such and such? And then, yeah, it's okay to feel such and such and such. Because most of the time, if that stuff comes up from the inside, and it's most of the time kind of releasing neurotransmitters and hormones somewhere, and they somehow contracting something, and then you have the experience. But the experience to go through that is one thing, but having all this judgment, wrong making, it should be different, all these conditionings from the outside, how it has to be or how it should be, that makes it wrong what we feel inside. And this is where the conflict is happening. And then coming back to pleasure as protest, it's just like, can you find joy and pleasure going through the shit? Because that's where the liberation sits.
Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, because it's so easy. Yeah, we can go to all the ecstatic experiences and seek that, and that can add to our lives, but the discomfort will be there, period. And like forever. Yeah. And to find acceptance there, or find permission to, okay, I can breathe in this, and I can still I'm alive. Like I'm here. But like, how wonderful in a way too. I can really feel that more and more often. Like, I can feel this. The shit.
Yeah. I will add something that actually it does change from not feeling uncomfortable anymore. So I would say like there are the more we get used to feeling the discomfort, the less uncomfortable it actually feels.
There are always new levels.
So there are always new levels, but they become less and less. And then suddenly I can bear feeling so much discomfort, because it's only a few times when the real discomfort nowadays is coming up. But like when I was young, it's like, oh, you feel discomfort when somebody says, you ask somebody out and they don't want to go out with you. It's like, oh, their discomfort. And then it's like, oh no, I have to stick myself on the finger. It's like, oh, I feel discomfort. Oh, I feel a little bit of pain. Oh, everything is uncomfortable. And so many of those things that I'm not lying, they're just not even comfortable anymore. It's like the rejection is not getting to me, or sticking the finger, or having the physical pain. It's just like, all right, hello pain. It does really, really change. And then it allows us, from the nervous system perspective, because we don't dissociate anymore from deeper things. And then that allows us to feel even deeper and deeper. And then we really need our capacity to feel discomfort when we get deeper, because we're no longer spending time in feeling discomfort in these tiny things that used to be discomfortable before. So like whenever me and my partner are a little bit stressed or something is happening, it's kind of like, what if we save this energy to when something dangerous is actually happening, or something painful, like, like when my mother will be passing. It's like, yeah, then I can use that pain, but not when my computer is broken. It's like, can we get some, My friends from Mozambique, they tell this, like the funniest story is that they went to stay with a French friend. And they found her crying, and they're like, oh my God, what's happening? It's like, I lost my headphones. And they were literally not understanding that it's possible to cry over headphones. From the reality they live in, they're like, we thought somebody had died. So they tell the stories, they're like, she was crying over headphones, and they all three like laughing out loud as it's the most ridiculous thing. So yeah, that's a piece that I wanted to bring in here.
Yeah. On a collective level, we're not supposed to feel bad.
Yeah.
We are excitement and positive satisfaction seeker, and we need to have that. And collectively, just like let's dissociate and substitute the way how we all do that, just like coffee, nicotine, alcohol, TV, you can name it, actually not to get over the surface where we're actually having a look what's really going on.
Yeah, and it gets reinforced with social media and things like that, where we're supposed to be presenting our best selves and never be crying and never do this. And I grew up in a small town in New England in America, and it's like, I grew up in an alcoholic family, and only a few people knew that. And we were like my brother and I were like the football stars of New England, and we were like supposed to be like the perfect family, and we were not. But don't show that. And so, like how that gets internalized, and then to kind of like you're saying, like the upside down world, like to be like, well, what, it feels dangerous if we actually share the truth, but in that, with the right people, there's such liberation in that. And then all that energy that you use to push everything down and hide it, you get all that energy back. And then you can use that energy to be with each other. And again, like in my hometown, like that, a lot of people be like, nope, don't do that. But then you just have to find new people to hang out with.
There was a comment or question from the audience here.
It was actually a comment on your what you said about like how you react. What is actually discomfort for us here in this part of the world, and how you France reacted. I was thinking that the other side of the medal, or the other, like the back side of what is happening in this part of the world is that this how could I say? I mean, this is very positive and this is very good that we talk about like psykisk ohälsa. What do you say?
Psychic health or psychological health.
Mental health, yeah.
Yes, I mean it's quite popular not to feel good, and there is a kind of a problem that people like, oh, my boyfriend, you are 15 and my boyfriend, he broke up, and then you go to acute because you are so depressed, that it's impossible. I mean, there is what we feel discomfort about is like might be quite a small thing in real life, exactly what you say, but in this part of the world it's almost like I don't know, marketing for this kind of feeling, and many influencers, by the way, they don't not only like nice and feel, they're crying about, I don't know, some bag is not possible to get or something. They do.
Yeah.
And this is actually quite fun, because it's almost never people talk about this backside, because it's like neglecting people who are really like who really feel bad and have very bad mental health, but the proportions in this part of the world are very like it's not about life. I don't know, it's not the real life. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
It's very strange. Like it's almost fashion to not to feel good, and very small thing is like a very big problem, because it's nice to talk that you're not feeling good.
So we have this participant sharing how it's almost fashion in our part of the world, or in Sweden, or in the northern parts, to not feel good. And it's normal you get dumped by a boyfriend and you get depressed for months, or to complain about things, and people bond talking about how difficult things are around things that are actually on a human level should be not so difficult to deal with. And many people don't talk about this negative side. It's more of like, oh, we need to do something about the mental health, but then it's not supporting people to shift this from one mode to another.
We don't know the difference anymore between this is life and this is mental health problem.
Yeah.
We don't know the difference.
We don't know the difference anymore between mental health and life, which is just life. Yeah. Yeah, and from my personal perspective, how I work a lot with what we in somatic therapy call uncoupling, which means that we believe when something is overcoupled, it means that I believe I'm sad because of one thing, but the root cause is something else. So I get dumped by my boyfriend and I am 30 years old and I, go into 6 months depression. Then as a therapist, I would say that's not why you're sad. Because that's not a reasonable reason to be depressed for 6 months when you're 30 years old. It's because something is, we're coupled, so there is a trauma underneath that is coming up with it. And we're not having that discernment. So, and everybody are allowed to be sad or upset about what they say they're upset about. But as a specialist in the field, I'm like, that's not what you're upset about. That's not what you're sad about. But that's unpolitical correct to say. And we are allowing people to have the beliefs that they have, even if they're actually sometimes wrong. But the emotions are right. But they just what they believe where it belongs is just it's where it gets wrong.
I just wanted to build on what you were saying and say yes. And when you're a teenager, everything feels like a calamity. Everything feels like it's the end of the world because you have no capacity to have that perspective.
Yeah.
Like speaking as someone who's recently a teenager, I guess within the past decade. But then also I want to build on that because I was thinking about Jaws last night, the movie. And it's about overcoming your fears. And it's about this character's progression from being afraid of this small town mayor to going out and facing down a shark with a harpoon. And he's deathly afraid of the water. And the only way he overcomes this fear is by seeing there's nowhere else for him to go. And I think that change is often like coupled with this crisis, like this realization that the patterns that you have are no longer serving you, and they're no longer serving you to the extent that like it hurts more to stay where you are than it does to change. So I would love to hear your perspectives on that. So how can you get that kind of perspective, that zooming out, that wisdom, and is there a way to get it without going through a crisis?
So one of the participants just gave a brilliant recap of the movie Jaws and used that as a symbol for the journey of overcoming one's fears. And I'll start off with we're going to need a bigger panel. We're going to need a bigger boat if we want to tackle this question. But thank you for this. And any responses to this?
I started on this journey as a facilitator and public speaking and stuff like that almost 15 years ago. Yeah. And my tantric journey is almost 30 years ago. So the first time when I actually was bringing stuff out, I was just making in the, early 2000s, something like that, a newspaper advertising that I want to teach men how to do this ejaculatory choice control thing. And then a guy was calling me on the phone just like, yeah, are you doing that? And how is it going? And I was just like, when I had this guy on the phone, I was just like frozen in shock. Just like, I had no idea because I was not a facilitator or anything. So this journey took me years literally to learn stuff and going through this, sitting in front of people and facing my own inner kind of, oh my God, how am I doing that? So I have a long history of showing up and specifically being on festivals with other facilitators. Every time before I'm going into a into a workshop or something like that, I'm back into this just like, oh my God, I just fuck it up. I feel nervous, I feel scared, I feel anxious, and does it never stop? And then we talk with other facilitators about that. No, it will never stop. It's getting more intense, and you need to make peace with it. Yeah. So long story short, a few years back, I've been teaching in front of classes and sit online on my first kind of my little screen on the computer with, Zoom, kind of just 25 different people or 49, I don't know. And I just need to explain something and I freeze in front of my computer screen. First time having 30 people in front of me on this little thing. It's just like, I'm just going black out, can't say anything. I'm just like, and longer story, even shorter. And we talked about that just recently and coming back to this idea of pleasure as protest. What I'm doing, and it's a super challenge, I go online on adult platforms, show myself naked, and show my pleasure and show something different than almost everybody does, is using that medium to get off on. I just show me in my pleasure, and I observe myself. Where am I going into performance? Where am I judging myself? Where am I making myself wrong? And where am I not authentic with my real expression of how I feel? And this is a lifelong journey. You know, it doesn't matter how old you become, how far you get, there's always something you can dive deeper with.
A mentor of mine, to build off of this, I had some breakthroughs about my negative self-talk in my head, and it got very quiet. And I was like, finally, I have defeated the negative self-talk. And then like 3 months later, it comes back, but like louder and worse. And I'm telling my mentor about this, and he's like, oh, nice. He goes, you've had a new breakthrough. I'm like, how? Like, it's a failure. Like, all it's come back. And he's like, here's a reframe. Who you used to be, you grew. So that part of you that beat yourself down, like maybe last time it was with a baseball bat, but now it's like running you over with a bus. And I'm like, so it's like trying to beat the bigger version of me back down. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, and this is never going to end. He goes, no. He goes, next time it's going to be a tank and then an aircraft carrier. And maybe this goes back to kind of the Jaws thing, is my insecurities and my negative self-talk. Like, I love that about myself. It's not comfortable, but I don't make it wrong anymore. It's just kind of who I am. And then whenever I do start beating myself up in those old ways, I can interrupt the pattern when I catch it, because some days it takes me 2 weeks to catch it. But like, I'm like, oh, it's happening again. And that version of me I call Frank, for Frank Castle, who's the Punisher from Marvel Comics, because he punishes me. But I'm like, Frank, you're back. And that part of me is like, you can see me? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, nice tank. Where'd you get it? But like, you only show up when I'm growing. So like, let's go find out where I grew. And that was so helpful for me. So I don't know that I ever killed Jaws completely, but at least now I enjoy fishing, maybe.
And maybe I'm stating the obvious, but yeah, your accomplishments, or what you're trying to do, gets bigger and bigger as well. And the workshops you're giving, they're more and more towards the next expression of you, and so it could be so easy to forget to celebrate on the way or acknowledge the expansion on every little step. That's such an important part for me in growing and learning, is the celebration and seeing that, however subtle it is. Like, it can be, this was as uncomfortable as last time, but this time I wasn't numb for 2 days. I didn't change my behavior yet. I didn't know yet how to react differently, but I could stay with it a little longer. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. And I wanted to take in the question again, and there were many pieces in the reflection and the question, but one piece that I took out was like, do I have to go through a crisis before? Like, how shitty does it have to get? And I would say, in a way, that I'm blessed that I haven't, because many people who have done the journey they've gone so far that they almost died or had cancer, or somebody really close to them, and that was the moment that made them like, okay, shit, I have to, And I would say that it is one way, is the crisis, but for me, curiosity of this pain and where it actually comes from have really been like accessing the source without having to suffer that it because of here and now. Like I've been like I shared before, of for like our wound of separation that we all carry within, or the fear of being lonely, that panic of dying that lies in all of us, and it's a different scale, but it is a really early wound. So just to give an example, my partner, the father of my child, so he was super unavailable in a period this summer, and I was pregnant, and he was super stressed, and then he was supposed to come to Ängsbacka when I was hosting Sexibility, like I was pregnant in front of 600 people. I really needed that support. And then last minute, he didn't come because he was exhausted and had work the week before and after. And I start to notice my body's like going into panic of like, I'm abandoned. But because of the work I've done, I'm like, wait. No, this is my wound. This is not because he's not coming. And then I can still be upset with him not coming, but that's not why I'm having a panic. It's just reenacting something that is really old. And then that's a choice to have this, it's choice, but like to do the work to have this awareness, because otherwise I would go into creating a drama in the relationship. And there would be double panic, because then I would be like, we're going to break up, he's the father of my child, I'm going to be alone. And then I myself is creating more drama. But instead, I could ask for support, and I said, okay, my abandonment wound is being triggered. Can I hold on to you? Can you hold me? Can I cry? And then I have the adult part in me like, you're safe. You're not dying. You're just going to be without your partner in a festival. You can do it. Oh, yes, you're pregnant. You would have loved to have him, but you're going to be fine. And then I got that like rush of the anxiety out. And then I like having support, and then I could like connect them. It's like, yeah, it's been very challenging because this wound, and I'm upset that you didn't come, but like I'm fine. So we create our own crisis.
Can I add on that? Just copy that. It's just beautiful. And what I would like to add on that is, we have all this, core feelings and emotions anyway. What is sadness, fear, anger, and joy? Yeah. And most people just would categorize sadness and anger as something negative. Yeah. What it's not, it's just our upside down conditioning, how we put a label on something that we feel in our body. And the hardest nut to crack for me was, and I came aware of that not that long time ago. I'm 57 soon. And it's just a few years back, it just came into my awareness that I'm afraid of my fear. So the fear of fear was the hardest nut to crack, like you said, because in childhood, when you just look back, the early ages, just like, no, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't feel this. Don't have fear. And, whenever fear came up, there is this upside down judgment about my fear, that I'm wrong feeling fear, and breaking through the fear of fear was the hardest thing. So that now when a fear shows up in my world, it doesn't matter what it is, I feel shit scared, but I do it anyway. And I see the challenge, and I own up and say, I feel really scared, and I feel horrified scared. I feel panic. Is that okay? Yeah, just feel it all. That's good. And this is a lifelong challenge, And now fear is my ally, and I have learned fear keeps me present to be aware what's going on, that I can actually track what's around me. So fear is good.
I can tack on. There's a shame thing for me. So if you haven't stalked me on the internet, I'm fairly open about my sexual proclivities, and I'm very much a slut, and I have an open lifestyle relationship, and I'm very promiscuous and all these other things. But what people have a hard time understanding about me is I have so much sexual shame, and they're like, how? Like, that story you just told contradicts that. I'm like, no, because for me, my shame is kind of a compass, and it came from me eventually figuring out, like, what do I think my friends can't love me for if I were to ask for it? So if I reveal my desires, will you all leave me because of my desires? And then I started like revealing that to my friends, and some of my friends left me. They're like, fuck this. But then a couple of my friends were like, well, this is interesting. Tell us more. And then I found other people like me. They're like, we could do that to you right now if you'd like, and tell you that we love you for asking. And so I've been using shame as like this compass to point me towards what I need to be courageous about. And I love the like your fear of your own fear, because I'm like, oh, that's like another compass for me. I got to check that out. But like, it's led me on this path towards my pleasure, to be courageous enough to ask for the things I'm scared of, and to pursue them anyway.
Can I add on that? Please. Thank you. To add on that, this is a beautiful thing, because the fear of fear was as well attached to my fear of feeling shame, the fear of feeling guilt, and you know, all this, the fear of awkward or embarrassment and all that. And this sport, this hobby, what I shared, what I'm doing, you know, it's just like, it's a never-ending story. It will continue. And I had a few times I tried to die on orgasm. You can't. Doesn't matter how high you get. And I had some other experience about guilt and shame. Yeah, and I know that the intensity of guilt and shame can kill. And guilt and shame is what we have all kind of seen and heard, you know, in society or religion, how we have been controlled through shame and guilt on our pleasure and sexuality, is that our sexuality is literally compromised through being judged and made wrong through our sexual desire and whatever we feel. So I had this coming up, this intensity of shame on one day, where I said, okay, so whatever there is on shame, so I just want to feel it all, and if it can kill me, I'm ready to die. Just kill me, let's do it. And I did the same with guilt, so that, you know, all this, the wrong making that you can feel on a cellular level in your physical body, this kind of just like all the wrongness of murder and slaughter and rape and stealing, and, you know, all this wrongness in the world. I said, okay, I want to feel that in my body, and if that can kill me, I'm ready to die. What comes up through shame and guilt and fear, it becomes ecstatic in its intensity when it's not wrong through my own conditioning. And this is so liberating. And I think this is the best protest as for pleasure, saying just like, I don't give a fuck, because I'm free with my shame, with my guilt, with my fear. I'm not controllable at this point. There's probably another level to reach.
Earlier you also said like nervousness can be translated as, well, you didn't say it this way, but like nervousness can be like condensed excitement. Like it just doesn't really know how to flow yet. And with anxiety, I've also been hearing this like, okay, what if I'm dying now? And this like radical acceptance of, that's what I'm scared that I'm gonna die right now. And it removes these other layers on top. And I'm just resonating with what you're saying of like, wow, I just have a lot of energy in my body right now. That's available for something else. You also named it like, it's available for something else if I want to. I'm super fascinated by like all these emotions and the power that there's, like the energy or the power that's in all of them when we can just kind of like flow with them. Did you want to add more to that too?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of things, but
yeah, we're gonna have to wrap up here. Yeah.
I still don't get the topic, but it's really interesting.
Participants still didn't get the topic, but it's really interesting. So should we round off with some kind of asking ourselves again, pleasure as protest, what if we have come to any new insights to kind of
what's our
back to this
takeaways?
question?
How is pleasure
from this
protest.
conversation.
Yeah.
And see if you understand after this. We have a participant here asking something.
Yeah, I have a question. What are you protesting?
What are we protesting? Well, let's bring that into our...
I can actually, my takeaway is an answer to that. What I'm most with right now is how easy it would be to live in this world and this culture and live in drama or numbness with everything that's in our, the social media and just news from all over the world kind of coming into our system. And a fast pace in that. And so that's what I'm protesting against with slowing down. I don't want to live numb. I want to live, yeah.
Yeah, I think that awakes something similar in me. That protest is associated with action, with anger, or with, energy in that sense. And pleasure as protest for me right now, I say answer the question, is a boundary against all of that. And say, you're not going to interrupt my peace. I'm not going to take on all of this. I'm going to stay with me, even though society is telling me completely different. My family system might be telling completely different. My protest is, especially with the baby, it's like, don't disturb me and my baby. And that's like the radical inner pleasure and the radical peace. And the more I'm in that, the more people want to be around me because of that. And I see that how I affect the world in that kind of protest for those who are my clients, who are my friends. That is a protest in itself because it's spreading something that is opposite of the norm at this moment.
My first association with pleasure as a protest was a silly thought, thinking just like, just running with my dick out through the streets and just show I'm sexually free. But this is probably inappropriate protest. So I just want to be in my own sexual world, in my expression, just me and free, and just being liberated, discovering, exploring unknown corners and areas I haven't seen. And I'm glad that this is a lifelong journey and I can deepen that as much as I want. And why saying that, I'm not really a protester. I'm not protesting. I just want to be free. And if people around me want to be free and want to get a little kind of dip of that and finding new nuances, I'm happy to guide people. So I'm available for that. And another add-on on that is that we all live together. So we are interdependent as humans and we live in this society and it is as it is. And even though we are all to a degree free beings, there are some manners that we all have and where we can all, live together with. And I don't want to put my pleasure in other people's faces without them wanting that. Yeah. So I don't want to protest against people who don't have access to their pleasure and making them wrong because now I'm the free being. So I just want to be of support and how can I guide people into self-leadership that they've asking the questions and go on the journey themselves. That's the let's say a loving protest. Yeah.
Thank you for that. For me, and adding the things we've been talking about, the protest for me is about like, we're not supposed to be having pleasure. Like, if we have too much pleasure, you're going to not be able to control yourself, and then you're going to hurt people. Whereas, as already mentioned by some of the people in the room, like, cultures and societies are using don't feel pleasure as a means of control. Be more productive. If you're having too much fun, you're not being productive enough, and you're not a contributing member of society. Whereas, a lot of us have touched on, like, if you can feel your pleasure, you can see the lie in culture, and then you become ungovernable. You become dangerous because you're a sovereign individual who's not playing by the rules. And for me, there's that piece of like slowing down, which is so anti-progress, so anti-productivity. But when we slow down and really take care of ourselves, we get more done often, or it's more mindful, and we maybe get more important work done. Air quotes around important, because sometimes the importance is to just take a nap with a friend and cuddle. And maybe the world's a better place if we do that. Slowing down and feeling your pleasure is probably better for the world than war. And it's hard to declare war when you're cuddling. So maybe that's the protest.
Thank you.
I just want to add to that, because when I finished business school 4 years ago, I wrote in my thesis that my intention, part of my work description is to go to a spa, or to do these things, to take cuddles, go to the forest, or do those things. But it's still so hard to do that today in this society, which is I should sit in front of the computer, I should do that 9 hours a day, I should, and if I don't do that, it's so hard for me to just kind of find and recenter and fill myself up, so the work that I'm doing is actually coming from a source of, I don't know, but pleasure is the right word, yes, in one aspect, but it's being filled and having creative life force coming through me, whatever you want to call it. But the shame, or just the stress, or the loop of going into I have to do. For me, it is, that's why I came here, because I was curious about the topic, how can we actually, because it's so hard and there's not a lot of people doing it. We need to talk more about that.
Yeah. And hopefully find community, like-minded people to get together and make soup with and chill, because it's really hard to do it alone, and to never feel witnessed, or to always get the finger wagging, and to feel like you should feel ashamed of yourself for taking time off, or whatever that is.
Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. It was a pleasure. Thank you for all your input as well. It was a pleasure. Did you hear that? I saw your smile. Thank you for being here. Thank you too for coming all the way from America. Yeah. We have some more things coming up. Also, maybe you also want to add something, but Lise and Matthias links will also be in the email afterwards that you get, and maybe anything they want to add that they're offering right now. We have tomorrow night, this is all in Danstherapie Centrum, another location, a show and tell bedroom favorites with live demonstrations. They can recommend.
Actual demos.
And there's also interaction, so we love to hear what you want to see and learn also. Saturday we have Rough Sex for Nice Folks, and after that a sensual play party. And on Sunday we have Oral Sex Grad School. And Reid is going to say a bit more about that.
I love doing sex education with demonstrations. I come from a martial arts background, and that's, sensei shows you, and then you go try things. And that just always made sense to me, especially for kinesthetic learners and visual learners. And so teaching any sex ed and getting to show people things in appropriate ways and in the right contexts has been really a joy of mine. And people seem to get a lot out of it because you're just normalizing it's okay not to know everything. And here's a cool thing you can do with a penis or this or that. And then people are just like, is this for real? Like, is this really happening? I'm like, yes, but like, how else are we going to learn? Because culturally we're not allowed to watch and learn and ask questions. And I also like to tell jokes while I have my pants down. And I think that's funny. And it's a good fit for me. And people seem to enjoy that. So that's Oral Sex Grad School is all the stuff that a lot of beginner classes don't get a chance to get to. And then Rough Sex for Nice Folks isn't super explicit, but it's about understanding, if you're a nice person, why people like it rough or like things kinky. And we'll actually be trying and practicing some things like hair pulling and spanking and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so beyond the techniques, what we get as feedback a lot is just as like shame-reducing presence and laughter in between everything. And if you want to be part of that, find us.
You're bringing me back to my I've had many what do you call it, titles or parts of my career, and this brings me back to when that was in my main focus on having lovemaking demos and showing my own pleasure as a way of showing other people. And I still show my pleasure a lot in everything that I do. But now I focus more on what's in the way, which comes back to what I nerded about before, attachment and old stuff that we believe belongs to here and now, but it's actually from the past, and learn to discern that. So I run a group program called GUMP, Grow Up Membership Program, where we practice discernment and being in the body, and actually find this more of this less drama, inner peace, with pleasure and dance and community. And you're very welcome to reach out to me if you're curious. There are retreats and other things, but now there is a baby coming, so pause that for a little bit, but it will come back next year, and my 1 year training will probably come back next year as well, but no then. But yeah, reach out. I give out lots of free gifts that I have written on these topics as well, so you can get in contact with me. Lust Coach is my Instagram.
Oh yeah, that's important. Let's take this. I'm retreated in Gustavsberg over winter. It's a nice town outside of Stockholm that you might know. And I'm a de-armoring hands-on practitioner, so I work with people one-on-one. And I have compressed 15 years of professional work for individuals, couples, and show them how to get into their ecstatic self. So if anybody's interested of that, please feel free to reach out. In person, hands-on work.